Dr. Mesele from Ethiopia, who works AMREF. Congratulations for being with us this evening. But also our brother Sylvester from Ifakala Health Institute. Congratulations for being with us. And dear colleagues who are attending this special webinar, let me take this chance to welcome Edwin, who will be our moderator for this session. And we are all ready to listen from the whole panel who will be giving us the special presentation this evening. Edwin, you're most welcome, and proceed with other agenda on the table.
Thank you, Yoda, for the brief introduction. Uh, First of all, guys, happy World Malaria Day. I am honored to be the moderator of this event. Now, before I go deep into introducing myself, can all of you hear maybe a thumbs up so that I can know I'm audible? From JEPSA. JEPSA is the Pharmacy Student Association in Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. So I am pursuing pharmacy and I'm in my 5th year, and I'm deeply passionate about health advocacy and education, and I'm thrilled to guide you through discussion with such incredible speakers. So let's all dive in and make this session both enlightening and engaging. So our first speaker of the night is Alois Urasa. Alois Urasa, just a minute. Alois Urasa. So just a minute, just a minute, just a minute. So Alois is a dynamic youth leader and a global health advocate from Tanzania. His journey has been fueled by a deep commitment to tackling health challenges from malaria elimination to gender-based violence and climate change. He is a champion for malaria and a chairperson of the ALMA Youth Advisory Council. He brings a wealth of experience and inspiring vision for a healthier, more equitable world, and we are thrilled to have him here, share his thoughts with us today. So welcome, Mr. Alois.
Hello, Edwin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much, and thanks for inviting me to speak on this panel to discuss the on issues regarding malaria on this particular day, on World Malaria Day. A day that we commemorate. One is to celebrate the gains that we have had in the fight against malaria, which is, I can say, we have really had tremendous progress since the establishment of different multilateral structures, like reducing the number of deaths, reducing the number of cases. However, we are still facing a perfect storm of think about different challenges that we are facing. As I said, a perfect storm of challenges, including the impact of climate change that is threatening the progress that we have made, but also we have a huge financing challenge as down their ODA, the official development assistance, to very significant amounts that has really brought serious shock in the health systems across the countries, including especially the countries that are already highly burdened by malaria. And we are looking at another challenge of humanitarian crisis, as you're always witnessing crisis in many places of the world, including DRC, Congo DRC, South Sudan, Sudan, and many other parts of the world where different crises are going on, increasing the number of refugees to neighboring countries, hence becoming a really health security challenge to many. But also we're looking at biological threats, including the invasion of new mosquito species in places where they are not existing. A good example being the Anopheles Anopheles stephensi that was not present in Africa before, but now found in many countries, including Djibouti, Kenya, Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia, amongst others that have already detected the presence of these species. Looking at all these challenges of the insecticides brings every reason for us to think beyond just the fight itself, to think innovatively and to think of tools that will help us to eliminate. And this brings a challenge to the young people like ourselves to think much broadly on how we can bring together our brains, how we can bring together our technical know-how, how can we bring together our skills and knowledge that we earn from schools, universities, and colleges into the fight against malaria. But think of it in a system way, have that kind of systemic thinking on as we tackle malaria, as it's a cross-cutting problem. It's a problem that is affecting many other. As all of the system is affected, or one block is broken, then it affects everything else. So malaria is really disrupting our health systems, and hence why we need to innovate effectively and sustainably. Some of the things that I would say needs us to innovate that I will, or some of the examples that we have already witnessed as innovative approaches to fight malaria is the improved bed nets. Now we have the dual AI, dual uh, AI nets that have been produced by a number of factories, including the BSF nets and Vestagard, Sumitomo Technologies, amongst others, who have brought mosquito nets that integrate more than one chemicals. That when one fails, the other will work against the vector. The bed nets treated with two insecticides are really helping to reduce malaria cases, and it is projected that they could help to cut down by 50% in areas where mosquitoes have shown resistance. But we recently heard of being the very first vaccines that are saving lives and accelerating the global progress against the fight against malaria. But also, we are seeing a number of early warning weather systems to tackle the climate change problem that is already threatening the fight against malaria. Early warning weather systems can really and are really helping countries now to predict and stop malaria outbreaks. But there are many really different systems that are integrating different tools. At Alma, we do have the scorecard tools that helps to visualize, but also create insights on recommended actions, bottlenecks that are there in the fight against malaria, quantifying the problems that are being faced by different countries, but also a platform, the scorecard platform, where countries share the best experiences for people to learn, for countries to learn from one another on what is happening from the other to fight malaria. There are many things that the youth could do in terms of innovating in the fight against malaria, including revising the diagnosis. Like we cannot fight malaria if we don't have, if we lack a proper diagnostic system. If you review the current system, for instance, the rapid test kits, we have seen a lot of literatures, scientific literatures, proving a challenge with them in terms of the deletion of the different genes or the different proteins that are used in the detection, like where they're using the histidine-rich proteins. Now, where literature, we need more people to think innovatively on how we can invent and or innovate to come up with more effective tools that will be more efficient and more reliable in terms of diagnosing or testing for malaria, but also looking at the drug resistance. Currently, we have a huge challenge with local manufacturing. Most of these drugs are imported drugs from the outside, where although most of the clinical studies are done in Africa, even the vaccines, we are really proud that some of our institutions participated in the development of vaccines, but it's still really not local innovations. All these innovations are not local. They are only tested locally, but they're not produced locally. So we need young people to think more broadly, more innovatively, and think in the local context. How can we innovate locally? Uh, how can we grab the opportunity of local manufacturing to ensure that we bring innovations down to our communities, down to our levels, to ensure that we effectively contribute to the fight against malaria. But again, we're looking at other cross-cutting issues like gender, ensuring like malaria affects women, especially pregnant women and children under the age of 5, who are mostly taken care by women, but the whole panel does not have any woman on the space. For me, that is really super unfair to the women leaders who are there championing, whom we have so many of them championing for the fight against malaria, but failing to recognize them in such discussions and important dialogue. So having these cross-cutting issues like ensuring gender equality, not just equity, but also gender equality in terms of everything we do in the fight against malaria would help us to gain massive achievements and even think better in terms of innovation. Women are really affected, and having the community that is more affected will give you more perspectives and more lived experiences that will help you think more critically. So I'll just like to stop here and hand all back to the moderator. Otherwise, also presents my apologies that we'll have to drop in a few minutes for another commitment for other commitments. Thank you very much, and back to you, moderator.
Well, thank you so much, Alois. That was very tough questions. I'm not sure we'll be here to answer.
Pardon, I didn't hear that. Sorry.
Oh, I was asking, since you will be leaving us soon and you are to have a Q&A session at the end of the meeting, will you want to take some of the questions or inquiries right now?
Sure, it's okay. If there's any question, I can respond to now. Thank you.
Okay, so if you have any question for Mr. Alois, you can either write it in the chat box, or you can raise your hand and I'll give you the chance to speak. But meanwhile, he sent a link where you'll register so that you can get certificates. So please make sure you register so that you can get a certificate. Yes, Edibat Tayari. Edibat, you raised your hand.
Good evening. I hope everyone can hear me there.
Yes, you're audible, Edibat.
Okay. Okay, I noticed from the last speaker, he said that my question was if there have been noticed an emergence of different kind of mosquitoes, as there's an species of mosquito, probably the current medication cannot tackle the new species. So has there been a strategy now to combat those new species of mosquito? Thank you.
Should
Mr.
I
Alois,
respond first?
you heard that?
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Ed, but for the good question. As I said, there's been an emergence of new mosquito species. I talked of the Anopheles stephensi that was common in the Asian region, but not in the Africa region. But now it's found in a number of countries in Africa. I mentioned some of the countries. Some of the initiatives that are being taken right now is more on the vector surveillance, where more the partnership, the Arabian Partnership, WHO, amongst others, are working closely to the countries that have detected the species to ensure proper surveillance and control of those new species, and as well as doing more research to see what could be the best mix of interventions that could be carried out to fight that emergence. But also we are pushing up with the cross-border collaborations where a number of countries, the neighboring countries, are also improving their surveillance system in order to detect whether that species already exists. And one of the advantage of the surveillance system is that many other countries have now managed to detect whether that species is already existing in their country or not. And also the cross-border collaborations, as I said, we are supporting a number of countries, especially within the communities like IGAD community, East African community, SADC, ECOWAS, to have cross-border initiatives in the fight against malaria, where countries and neighboring countries have initiatives to prevent the cross-border vector control, and also sharing of experiences, as I talked of the knowledge hub that we have, and also use of the scorecard tools to visualize where countries can see what is happening in their neighboring countries, in the other countries, so that they can take precautions or measures ahead. But also we are working closely in terms of looking at climate change as one of the threats that would lead to emergence of new species where they did not exist, or movement of different species to places where they are not favored by the weather or by the climate condition of that particular area, by ensuring that there's a proper modeling systems, working with a number of partners to see and be able to make projections of any threats or any potential threats. So there's a lot of interventions that are already ongoing and that have already yielded results, as I gave an example of surveillance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There was also another question in the in-call messages from Wundwosen Shifero. He's asking, what is a key strategy to eliminate malaria?
Oh, thank you. So there is no one strategy to eliminate malaria. I'm sure other speakers will also highlight a number of interventions, but there is no one size that fits all. Every country has different context, different situation, and different needs in terms of fighting malaria. One country would say IRS, the indoor residual spraying works better for them. Another country would say use of mosquito nets works better for them, but also a mix of interventions. Certain interventions combined will work differently. As you may know, I know most of you are medical students, that when you are dealing with vector control, you are dealing with different species, and it's not that one species can be controlled by only one intervention. So there is integrated vector control strategies. There are different mix of interventions that will be used. Even within Tanzania, the same on the scorecard platform, where we have stratified the country according to places which are high burden areas is graded differently, and the interventions are different. And even if you look at Tanzania mainland and Zanzibar, you'll find that the interventions differ. So there is no one strategy that will eliminate malaria. It's a mix of interventions. Even the vaccine will not work alone. That's why we say it's more of a complementary to look at malaria. It's one of the very complex disease. It has been there for 2,000 years plus. So it's not, we will not hit it with only one strategy. We need a mix of interventions, and we need everyone on board, including social behavioral change programs. Thank you, and back to you, moderator. I shouldn't consume time for other speakers as well.
Okay, thank you too. So before maybe leaving, someone also asked, Selena asked, which climate condition is most favorable for malaria transmission? Maybe you can answer that, then you can just release you.
All right. Climate affects malaria both in a negative and positive way. We have witnessed some places having malaria going down because of the changing climate, and some places malaria going high because of the weather and climate changes. Looking at conditions, there's something we call climate suitability for malaria transmission. That is a mix of three climate patterns. We look at temperature, humidity, and rainfall. So when rainfalls are above 80 millimeters, from 80 millimeters and above, when humidity is above 80%, and when temperature is between 80 together, they coexist. It forms one indicator or parameter that is malaria transmissions. But those are the factors so far research, according to research, and it will differ from different places and for different species. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alois. So we can move on to our next speaker. And guys, don't forget to register for the certificates. The link is in the chat box or in the in-call messages. So our next speaker is Dr. Franklin Sevidzem. I hope I'm not butchering your name, but he will be talking about empowering communities. Dr. Franklin is a global health powerhouse with over a decade of experience tackling some of the world's most pressing health challenges. He's also been at the forefront of global health security. He has over 40 scientific publications, wow, what a writer, and a passion of promoting health and preventing disease. And he's here to share with us his wealth of knowledge.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Can you get me, please?
Yes, we can.
Yes. I will plead on Yoda to share, to project my PowerPoint presentation. Is that possible?
Yes, it is possible. We are working on it.
Okay. But before that, I want to thank Alois for the presentation he just made. I mean, when we are in these platforms, we share knowledge, we learn together. Yesterday, I was sitting on a panel. Were interesting, the kind of research they were doing. Yeah. So I'll be talking about empowering communities, and I'll be very simple and straight to the point. Next slide, please. So the outline will run from the power of community through empowering real people to call to action. Next slide. I will first of all want to start by saying that I have a personal motivation for the fight against malaria. And what is it? When I was growing up back then in the northwest region of Cameroon, that is in Bamenda specifically, as a child, I had multiple episodes of malaria. I mean, if you have lived in any sub-Saharan Africa country, you will understand what I'm talking about. When you have malaria, every time my kids fall down sick of malaria, and I understand firsthand the physical, emotional, and financial body of malaria. You see a child helpless, crying, you know. So despite preventive measures like sleeping under treated mosquito nets, you know, and my children will still contract this malaria. And yesterday we were talking about the fact that the resistance of the vector is becoming something else. You imagine that Global Fund will send mosquito nets and they will take it for experiments, and they will want that they expose it, and they say, for example, 10 mosquitoes come and touch the surface, and they observe for about 5 to 10 hours whether they will come back and they are alive. And I bet you they are even able to spend more than that 10 hours, and they are very okay breathing on the mosquito net. Meaning that the insecticides, or let me call it the chemicals that they are using to treat the nets to prevent the mosquito, is no longer working. So the question is, what is really happening? If you sleep and your hand by mistakenly touches the net, I bet you a mosquito will bite you from outside. I don't know if you guys understand what I'm talking about. So I'm committed to advocating a holistic One Health approach to effective treatment strategies. We'll put the mosquito net, excuse me, and when we go out, maybe to have a drink with a friend or family, or we are doing some other activity outdoor, mosquito bite us and they will come and sleep under the net. We go out in the community and there is a whole trash or potholes that are everywhere, and water settles on it, and the mosquito is breathing and everywhere. And then we are usually trying to, you know, do intermittent treatment or do some other control measures while forgetting the environment. So we understand that people's behavior too. We give mosquito nets to communities, and the communities take the mosquito nets for fishing. How do you tell a community that this net is meant to prevent you from, you know, getting mosquito bites, which can transmit the Plasmodium falciparum, which causes the malaria in humans? You see? Next slide. So the power of community. When communities lead, change becomes sustainable. Let's remember, local knowledge is equal to a powerful tool. And we should know that empowered communities will be able to detect and prevent outbreaks, distribute nets, educate, protect, hold systems accountable, you know, even participate in educating people about the malaria vaccine and avoiding vaccine hesitancy. Next slide, please. So Reinvest, we all know the theme of the Malaria World Day, which is happening, which is being celebrated today. We have to fund and focus where it matters most. The other speaker always talked about, recent cuts in this. That's one of the calls that I will be making at the end, cuts in funding. And the presidential malaria initiative has been highly affected. That was being funded through the USID mechanism, all of that. So we with the funds we have now and the present scenario, they need to be focused. We need to fund where it matters. For a country that has a strategy that is kind of integrated, a strategy that is multidimensional, a strategy that has the One Health approach in mind, which are those key things that are important to put money in? As we're saying that we'll work more on making sure we experiment the real bed nets that are effective. Are we doing these things environmentally, making sure our environments are clean, all of that? Are we investing in the local health community workers? I've done a lot of advocacy for community health workers. Let the model of the voluntary model be wiped out and these guys, motivated. That is different from volunteers. I myself have volunteered in stuffs. Go to a community, you educate that community, do stuffs, be it in an NGO or in an umbrella of an organization per se. But when we talk about community health workers who live in these communities, who are the ones that go to the remote areas, hard to reach areas, to give these nets, these treatments, even vaccinate, we should really look for a way to invest in them and motivate them. We should support grassroots organizations. It's very important. And we should know that improved access to malaria vaccination, diagnostics, and treatment remains very, very key. And in summary for this slide, reinvestment is equal to resilience. Thank you. Next slide. Reimagine. When we talk about reimagine, what do you want? What are we thinking in the sphere of empowering communities for the fight against malaria? New thinking equal to better outcomes. We cannot keep doing the same thing and expecting different results. There have to be new thinking. And malaria, the vector, the female Anopheles mosquito, each and every day is developing tactics, is retricidizing itself. And it is communicating with this parasite, the protozoa and the Plasmodium falciparum and other species. And the guys are abusively removing techniques and changing their forms in a way that the drugs that we used to have out there. You will have malaria now, you take some of the drugs even after it has been laboratory confirmed, and it does not work. You need to go taking drips and taking treatment that is more stronger and things like that. So what is happening? So we need to imagine malaria-free schools. I cannot imagine the number of we have the Youth in Digital Health Network that are trying to bring out initiatives, that are tech savvy, that are kind of digitalized on ensuring that we better track health outcomes, on improving, the health of the continent. What are the community-led health innovations that can be done in order to empower minds that will lead to this mission of reimagining how we fight against malaria, how we prevent malaria? Next slide. Reignite. We need to reignite the fire to end this disease. If other countries have done, we can do it, especially in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. We need to fuel the passion, purpose, and participation. We need to inspire youth as malaria champions. I mean, this is ongoing. There's a lot of work, a lot of things, thematics in this area of, malaria prevention control going on. We need to really inspire more and more people to be in this fight. We need to mobilize digital campaigns. We need to celebrate community success stories. And I want to indicate that this is important. People always feel like you must do one very big thing or discover a microorganism, for example, before you are highly celebrated. No, it doesn't go like that. Small wins need to be celebrated. You people I don't know if all opportunities I've gotten from LinkedIn by simply showing what I do, by simply showing the kind of role I can play. It sells you. I tell you people, it does. So we need to make sure that we are part of the solution and not only of the complaints. Let me take about TikTok. Do you know the number of flimsy videos? I'm sorry to call it flimsy, funny, stupid videos in quotes that will have so much likes. At times I ask myself that, social media, what is this social media? But when it comes to some kind of educative or real something that can educate somebody to avoid, you will not even see a like or something. You will not even see somebody interested. But these are the same people that will get up at times and are asking or trying to bring their governments into question. How will you show that you are worthy enough to say that this policy should be implemented, or to say that your government should take up a research, outcome that you have discovered, when you cannot, disseminate it well, when you cannot talk about it, when you cannot confidently say the importance of it? I don't know if you people are getting what I'm saying. My approach to this is like just bringing out the reality, just speaking real, just speaking your language. I want to translate the big findings that we have, the big research that even you go online at times and type research studies on malaria prevention and control, you see all kinds of things. You may not even understand some of these things. And our politicians will not understand them. We were in a conference yesterday, and in the hall, you will not find any policymaker per se, or even you find you will be somebody at the lower cadre of work. But now we are expecting that those research recommendations that we have done, we have said that we have done these studies, these mosquito nets are not working. We need to use these ones. If those people are not there, when Global Fund or other funding partners want to send mosquito nets, they will still go and maybe carry those that are already resistant in the community and send to them. And mosquitoes will still finish with us. So we need to reignite the fire. We need to think different. Next slide, please. Next slide. Empowering real people. These are arbitrary names that I wrote. Asha is a community healthcare worker, a volunteer saving lives with a bicycle and a backpack. These people matter. I've been to communities, I've been to remote communities. If you know the kind of communities have been there, you will not imagine. You see somebody passionate about saving a life, somebody that does not even have secondary school education, he has the primary, but he understands the system, the primary healthcare apparatus. He can speak public health here in his own language, and you as a professional, you understand what he's talking about. This is the kind of people that we should really empower too. James is a farmer teaching net use in rural areas. Why did I use farmer? There's an area in Cameroon called Dop. They cultivate rice there. At times they use nets to protect pesticides and some kind of things from getting into their lanes and stuff. You will be surprised that these guys take bed mosquito nets and but go to their homes and are sleeping on beds without the nets, and their nets are in the farm. How can you tell farmers in this community that please, these nets are not meant for fishing or for, the separating your farmland from another or things like that? This is what I'm talking about. Fatima, a student advocating for malaria-free zones in primary and secondary schools in one locality in Cameroon. We need this. How can you tell somebody that, please, if your child misses school because of malaria, it has a ripple effect on his academic performance? We have Festus creating awareness on the importance of malaria vaccine for newborn babies in a rural community, faced with issues of vaccine hesitancy and things like that. I want to, please, just a minute. Sorry, I had a call that was trying to distract me. Can you get me, please? Can you get
Yes,
me?
we can. Yes, we can.
So talking about this, Cameroon was the first country that rolled out the malaria vaccine. I will tell you that at a certain moment, the government had to come back to the drawing board and ask themselves what is happening, because there was a lot of hesitancy. Mothers were afraid. They did not trust the vaccine. When COVID-19 came and it took the time it took and vaccines came out, and the kind of adverse reaction that it had with some people, this concept changed their mindset. I want to give you people real fieldwork reality. Last 3 months, I was in a community in the west region of Cameroon. I'm the community mobilization coordinator for the Camphia Survey, Cameroon Population-Based HIV Impact Assessment Survey. It's been funded by US CDC PEPFAR, and it's carried out in several African countries to understand the situation of HIV prevention and care. That's the 95 cadre of a country. We went to this community and we're saying that, please, we will be having our team members come to collect your blood to carry out the HIV test and give you your results at home. That's selected households and participants within the selected households. There's a community that categorically refused. I came in now as a scientist, as a public health engineer. I was asking myself, because I was helping the community mobilizers. I said, what is happening? When I started digging in, can you people imagine what they told me at the end, what I discovered, and which was true? There was a child that was sick, and he was in another part of Cameroon, in Douala, which is the economic capital of Cameroon, and was vaccinated against yellow fever. When this child went back to the village, to that community that was resisting, the child died. So because the child died, they didn't want to catch any health campaign or any person talking about vaccination or talk more of injecting them to get their blood for whatever test you may think of. In terms of vaccination, the process, to a layman in a community to understand that that vaccination work. We are in the vaccination week, and you all know how vaccines have been helpful in working. Even Africa, in every 5 minutes, a child or two are dying because of malaria. And then there is a vaccine against this. How can we tell people to understand that this is important and that they should be careful when it comes to this concept called vaccine hesitancy? So this is, in summary, change starts with them. Change. It ends with us. If some of your community members are affected, or your family member or something, know that it will indirectly come back to you. Next slide, please. So what can you do? Spread awareness. Support local malaria campaigns, including vaccination campaigns. Donate, fundraise if you can. Advocate for political will. Every action counts. Malaria ends with us. Nobody here should think that his action does not count. Write posts about malaria. Talk about it. Host small webinars. I want to appreciate Yoda and his team. Africa Popular Student Network Initiative. I'm part of the board members. I mean, I like what they have been doing. You must not think that you have a white collar job or you sit in one big office with an AC or you are paying impact from where you are. From the small things that you do, showcase them. And I bet you, we the youths, we are the future. There will come a time when it's your track record, your chronos that will be talking for you. And at the Kairos moment, you will be at a stage where you will not need, your experience will speak for you. Your portfolio will speak for you. Your work will speak for you. It's not about God. I don't know if you get the inspiration I'm trying to bring to you people. Please, every action counts. And always remember that no matter the small drop of water that falls in the sea, it is obviously going to form a ripple. Next slide. Call to action. My peers, my people, what can we do? Reinvest, reimagine, reignite. Empower your community. Speak. Realize that the problem, if you are running away from the problem will come at your doorstep. You may be thinking that you protect yourself against malaria or what, and then you are in a family home and your mother, your sister, your brother or something has malaria. And the work that he was to do, he or she cannot do, and you are the one to do it. Do you know that it indirectly affects you? Or you have malaria, you are sponsoring a child, and the child has malaria towards when he's writing his end of year examinations, and he's not able to write, and he fails the exam, and he has to repeat that class. Do you know that you are the one to pay that school fees? This is how I speak. This is how we should speak. When you talk like this to some of these policymakers or politicians, they listen to you differently. They understand what you're talking about. If I come down and I start telling you mosquitoes, all of that, they'll be saying that this man, you want to start witchcraft. Witchcraft in Africa is called metaphysics. Some of them will not understand. They'll say that you want to start something that has not existed. But you speak in a layman language and transfer those complex information they are saying into simple terms to let them understand that because of the resistance, because of what we are seeing, because of the trend in malaria and all of that, if we don't implement this kind of measures, we may not be able to control this vector. And no country has ever eliminated malaria without vector control, which is that mosquito, the most dangerous animal in life, the mosquito. Next slide. Call to action. I will not dwell a lot on this, but the former speaker spoke, right? The cuts in official development assistance has affected people. Me speaking here, there are many projects that I've lost, consultancy that I was to do that were just automatically terminated. In fact, I was already at the process of getting a UNICEF consultancy last week, UNICEF Cameroon. And the UN, out of a sudden, the executive director sent out a message that all recruitment should be cut. And that is how I miss that. You know what it means that people have been gaining from a program in terms of the program has been helping the community. It has changed the narrative of malaria control in a given community, integrated vector control and all the like, all the cadre for malaria prevention and control. And out of a sudden, it just stops. How do you think these people are going to adapt in the shortest time possible to continue their lives? We need to use such platforms as a critical opportunity to strengthen advocacy for increased domestic health financing. We have been singing all of this. We will keep singing it because if we don't sing it, it will be as if it's not important. In Abuja, head of state came very well in very good AC hotels in a big conference hall, and they said, yes, we are going to give 15% of our budget for healthcare. My brothers and sisters, till date, it is hard for a head of state to even think that his 5% of GTB will go for health. They think that health is some kind of wastage or expenditure, not knowing that it's an investment. You get me? Health care is not an expenditure per se. You need to know that it's an investment because if your economy is not healthy, they cannot be productive. It went further. The Africa Leadership Meeting 2010. They still came again and met in Abuja and said, we are going to hold ourselves accountable. We are going to make sure that we have a coordinated system of responding to infectious diseases, of making sure that we put money and push money into healthcare, universal health coverage, a lot of things, a lot of, indicators were brought out. And in that African Leadership Meeting, they said, yes, we are to do this. But I bet you till now, when it's time that they are to do some of those things and hold themselves accountable, you start hearing different talks coming in. And it is worse now because official development assistance is a very key thing that was agreed on in 1970. You people may not have known this, but it is stipulated that 0.7% of the gross national income of countries should allocate for this, for official development assistance. And it depends on the more richer you are, the more your 0.7% will be high. But only 5 countries were able to meet this target in 2024. And it is worse now. President Donald Trump has his own way of leadership. He has categorically cut he does not want to put his money into foreign matters again the way we used to think of. So people are like wondering that even if you want to cut some of these funds, will you not call this set of state or governments and put them down and say that, look, this is what I intend to do, and after a while I will not want to do this, so that it prepares people to kind of, so this funding gap threatens progress in malaria prevention and control and affects especially maternal and child health. Next slide. Thank you for your attention, and remember that the malaria parasite, the Plasmodium falciparum, the malaria vector, the female anopheles mosquito, is re-strategizing its tactics in dealing with us humans. And the earlier we realize this, the better for us. Thank you very much and respect.
Thank you very much, Dr. Franklin. That was an eye-opening. I can see there are people who have questions, but for now, we will just move on to the next speaker. Hold your question. We'll have and near the thing, so you can hold it or just type it, and I will be able to read it to them. Yeah. So our next topic, digital health to track and end malaria. Most of the 2 earlier speakers have hinted on how the technology is being used to track and end malaria, and this topic is being handled by, just a minute, give me a minute. I'm sorry about that. So as I was saying, this topic is being handled by Dr. Mesele Damte Agua. I hope I got that right. He's a distinguished public health expert with a wealth of experience in health systems, strengthening, and disease prevention. He has very much contributed significantly to research and policy development, and he also has numerous publications which address critical health issues in Ethiopia and beyond. His work spans are in areas such as maternal and child health, infectious diseases, and health service delivery, and this showcases his dedication to improving healthcare access and outcomes. So, as he comes to share with us his vast wealth of knowledge, let's give him a clap and welcome Dr. Mesele.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my slides?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to share my experience in terms of managing malaria programs and contributing for the efforts made in eliminating malaria in some part of the country. So I am a public health professional and managed malaria program as a public-private partnership initiative for 6 years, and I have been also working as Deputy Chief of Party for Surveillance for Malaria Elimination Program in Ethiopia. So currently I'm working with AMREF Health Africa as a technical director for the primary healthcare project. So this is one of the area. So I do have a significant inputs in the national malaria program and in the continent. So I do have a few slides to share with you how the digital technology changes and contributes in the effort made to see a malaria-free world. So I will give you some highlights, and the information will be just briefed on the global malaria situation, and I will just give you highlights of the malaria situation in Ethiopia and some of the approach we implemented in controlling, preventing, and eliminating malaria, at least nationally or subnational areas or targeted regions or districts. And there are some interventions which I want to highlight for you, and there are some documents, and I'll link how the digital health help us to eliminate malaria and its impact in the coming years when we deal with malaria. So generally, as you can see, malaria in globally, it have a good record for some years and in the previous decades, but currently, unfortunately, we are getting again in trouble. So starting from 2019 to 2024, almost more than 11 million new malaria cases were reported. And unfortunately, almost the majority of these cases are reported from Africa region, and the deaths also is high from Africa. So we are the one who is victim for the malaria program, the malaria disease transmission, the malaria socioeconomic impacts, and the health outcomes. And when you just unpack this data, the global burden, almost 5 countries are the one which contributes almost the majority of the new case build-up. So you can see Pakistan is the leading country with 2.1 million additional cases, and Ethiopia is the second one, and Nigeria and Uganda and Papua New Guinea are, these 5 countries are contributing 5 million additional cases. So in 2022, that means you can imagine there are only 11 million additional cases over years, and we are the one who seriously affected with the new case build-up in the world. And some of the reasons or some of the factors which were identified as the cause for these new case build-ups are climate change, and there are also several interruption of the routine health services through facing conflict or humanitarian crisis, whether it is man-made or natural events. So we are suffering from managing our routine health system, and malaria gets opportunity to flare up. And there is also a missed opportunity, or there are people who are not getting adequate opportunity or access for basic health service. So though there are changes in many countries in improving access to healthcare service, but there are people who are not able to get a basic service even using the community as agents or the community as volunteers. So this is also one of the challenges, and there is also a resource constraint. Malaria demands almost 40% of the budget from Ministry of Health to manage as a routine service, and it's very challenging for many countries. But working or dealing with malaria is not something which we lose our resource. It's an investment for a better health outcome and socioeconomic benefits. And there are also a challenge, biological challenge. Almost all countries are challenged with drug resistance and insecticide resistance. And as the earlier speakers already raised, there are a new vectors which challenges the system in many countries. So you can just see in this picture how malaria affects, or the storm which we are facing now can be described with this 4 critical areas. When you see related to causes, the cost of malaria has significantly increased. Managing malaria it becomes higher and higher, and there is also a challenge from the inflation which we faced to buy with our available funds. So it's a very challenging situation for many of the countries. And the other one is the climate change, which we already raised it. There is a number of cyclones, and there are erratic rainfalls and flooding as reported here and there. And because of that, the newly emerging vectors are breeding here and there. So we are also facing another storm from the climate change. And the third one is which is related to access to new tools. So many of the tools are currently they are expensive, and it's difficult to get for poor countries. You can see the newly innovated long-lasting insecticide treated nets. They are much expensive than the routine LLN which we were using. It insecticides are very expensive, drugs are expensive, and diagnostic tools are becoming more inaccessible for poor countries. And there is also a humanitarian crisis. So there are man-made crises and natural crises, and because of that, people are displaced in millions, and they are out of basic services, and because of that, their health is in danger. So these are a major challenge for the malaria program from several studies. So I want to highlight you how Ethiopia is affected with the current situation, the case build-up in malaria. So Ethiopia in 2010 reports less than 4 million cases, and we were successful over years and started to report below 1 million cases in 2018. So there was a promise to achieve malaria elimination, at least in subnational situation and context. So because of that, we developed a malaria elimination documents and select some districts and start to implement malaria elimination for 3 to 4 years. Unfortunately, as you can clearly see with the reported cases, it starts to grow over years, and there are several incidents. One of the major challenges we faced is in 2020, there was an incident of global pandemic, COVID pandemic. Because of that, the routine health system was seriously affected, and it continues. And in the middle of 2022, we have also conflicts everywhere, and because of that, the routine health system cannot deliver what we were used to do for communities. So currently, we are just reporting more than 10 million cases, and this is really a loss for us, though we were using a number of innovative things in the earlier time. Currently, even we cannot implement what we have at hand and address the situation. And because of that, we return back to malaria control activity in several districts. So the mortality is also similar. You can just see if the number of cases are increased in millions, we are also expecting a high number of cases. So because of that, currently we are already reported more than 1,000 us to maintain what we were achieved and see the better results from the routine malaria program. So still, I can just show you how malaria is increasing from time to time in shorter time. So I think, sorry, here I use 3 Ethiopian calendar years. So currently we are in 2070, so 3 years. So it's very difficult for us, and slide positivity rate is also increased significantly. It was 28% in 3 years back, and currently we were confirming almost half of tested cases are confirmed malaria cases. So it's just a very challenging things for the national malaria program. So there are some approach which we implement as a global program. We target our intervention in 3 major categories. Significantly, the burden of malaria from high to moderate stratum to low and very low stratum to start the malaria elimination activities. And if the stratum or the number of cases and the incidence rates of malaria significantly reduced, our activity or our intervention package will be towards interrupting residual transmission. So, and the third component is if there are areas which is reporting no malaria, we want to maintain that free status through preventing reintroduction for a longer period of time. So because of that, our intervention and package are also different from place to place. So as you can clearly see from the map, we just identify almost 222 districts. Ethiopia is a big country. We do have more than 1,100 districts, and the population of the country is more than 120 million. And malaria is transmitted in almost 75% of the land mass, and more than 69% of the population is at risk of acquiring malaria. So it's our big challenge, but as you clearly see, our experience the last 3 years, as almost 50% of our reported cases were from 222 districts, and from the map, the western part of our country seriously affected, and some districts in the eastern part, especially in the lowlands of Afar region, which is very close to Eritrea and the Red Sea. It's a lowland place, and if there are some water bodies, the air and the climate condition is conducive for malaria transmission. So we are challenged in the western part of the country. Even our reports are much higher than a smaller country, which report to the World Health Organization. So these regions are seriously affected our intervention. So the target intervention also to have step-by-step management. So we want to capacitate our health system through financing the malaria program and contributing the case management, vector controls, and the community engagement related things. So this is a very big component. And the second one is we also target or identify surveillance sites. So there are static surveillance sites, and there are also surveillance sites which are managed by universities and some malaria program management related organization or entities. So they are also dealing with the entomological related activities in some part of the country. And we do have also the platform to engage the private sectors. So in Ethiopia, we do have a comparable number of private health facilities. So unless we engage them, it's very difficult to identify all cases in a short time and treat cases before their life is endangered. So through 8 steps of these malaria interventions, we are dealing with malaria elimination activities. And we do have malaria elimination guidelines and documents. So the National Malaria Program already classify and stratify all waradas. There are free waradas, there are low malaria transmission, very low malaria transmission, moderated high transmission. So we do have wider categorical or stratum, and based on their status, our intervention also guided and packaged. And because of that, our malaria program to have a number of interventions for malaria control, where there is burden reduction, and malaria prevention, where there is free zones. So we do have all type of waradas. But the number of cases, as clearly you can also see from the previous presentation, unusual increase as just continues for weeks and months, and because of that, the malaria program should return back to malaria control activity in some districts. So clearly, you can also see how our malaria elimination activity performed in the whole country within 6 months. So we do have a malaria-free waradas, and there are also a very low transmission area, low and moderate and high transmission area. So these are the western part, the majority of the western part of the country is seriously affected. So we do have a small administrative unit called village or kabale. So we target a village to classify the stratum based on the malaria incidence, humidity, temperature, and altitude. So having all these important components, we classify our waradas. Then we also conduct data quality assessment frequently and check whether our health system is working good. And we also see the challenge of the financing related areas. And we also provide training for healthcare providers to manage malaria and engage in malaria prevention related activities. So in the malaria elimination conditions, it's really a very difficult and challenging one, because we want to just when we just found a malaria suspected case, we want to confirm within 24 hours. Then a confirmed malaria case should be investigated within 3 days. And neighbors and almost 20 to 50 household members should be checked for fever and tests for malaria without having signs and symptoms. And those positive cases will lead us to manage and investigate the focus of malaria transmission in the village or in the hamlets of 5 households. So then we are going to look for vector breeding sites, the knowledge and the practice of household members on using long-lasting insecticide, identifying fever cases, and seeking medical care, something like that. So our intervention and mitigation is to have some shorter period of time, which we should deal. So these things cannot be managed in big country without the help of digital platforms. So I want to summarize our program in terms of the theme of the World Malaria Day in 2025. So how digital platform assist us in malaria elimination, or assist us to end malaria across the country. So I'm just gonna to review with the three main themes. The first one is Reinvest. So our national program train more than like village health leaders. These are community health workers which oversee from 50 to almost 100 households. So we train and deploy in 300 districts. And these people are the one who facilitate the community-based surveillance and identify fever cases and link to the nearest health post or health center. And this is one of the investment area for the Ethiopian malaria program, elimination program. And the second one is providing training for health extension workers. So we do have more than 42 health extension workers. They are salaried community health workers, and 2 health extension workers are assigned for 5,000 people. And you can imagine it's difficult to provide training, in-person training for large number of healthcare professionals or healthcare workers. So because of that, we prepared a digital training platform. So many of them will engage and build their knowledge and capacity based on their self-paced and interest to accomplish some tasks. So this is one of the investment area which we were dealing with. And the other one is providing case management training for health center and hospital staffs, as also the investment area which can bring change. And as earlier already pointed out, the elimination program, the malaria elimination program, it's to have its approach called 137. So we want to identify fever cases and malaria cases within 24 hours. And this should be also investigated within 3 days, and within 7 days, the focus of malaria transmission should be identified and managed. So you cannot do it with a paper-based or a manual way of doing things. It's very difficult to identify a case in a health center and link to the health post to investigate its household members and confirm whether it is a local transmission or it's a malaria which is not locally transmitted for that moment. So then a digital platform helps us to identify, track, and assist the investigation and management of malaria cases. And the other one is establishing an emergency operating center. Since we are facing several outbreaks, several conflicts, and interruption of health system, and because of that, we established a number of emergency operation centers, which is the management of malaria and identify area of transmission and provide adequate behavioral change, communication-related things. And the other important area is investing in operational research and implementation research. The country invests a lot to identify the causes of the current case build-up and how we can prevent and avoid deaths and practice of healthcare providers. So this is also the area of investment. And nationally, from other implementing partners and donors, the country availed long-lasting suicide treatments and drugs, supplies, diagnostic tools, and related things for the malaria case management. And the other important area is the domestic financing. So nationally, we do have a community health insurance system. So this system is trying to mobilize resources which can help to the health facilities to improve the quality of service and avail at least essential tracer drug for a longer time. And the country also offer a chance to engage the private sector in the malaria case management, drug production, and availing essential drugs. And with the second one is the Reimagine related things. So the community wants to have timely information and the digital platform helps a lot to address the information needs and demands. And there are a number of innovative tools which we institutionalize to the system. So like the electronic committee health information system is implemented in more than 8,000 health posts, and health extension workers identify fever cases and notify to the health center and the World Health Office through the digital platform, and the follow-up and management of village, and the focus is with this digital platform. And there is also a data visualization platforms, and it helps for decision makers to identify area of case build up and area of interventions which they can guide and mobilize resource and decide on timely basis based on evidence. And the National Digital Health District Health Information System also to have an event tracker, and especially for malaria cases, anyone from the health post or the community health agent or village health agent can notify fever cases to the system, and with the help of the analysis, statistical and geospatial interventions toward this malaria elimination through the digital platform. And with Reignite theme, we are trying to advocate for the urgency and the resource, the needed resources for the political leaders to allocate a better amount of funds than ever. And we also advocate for healthcare providers, implementing partners, and community members. At least no one should die from malaria. And we also advocate in improving access to malaria prevention, control, and elimination services, especially with the vulnerable communities. In Ethiopia, there are more than 1 million internally displaced people and people who are just migrating from border countries to Ethiopia. So still they need support in malaria case management and prevention related issues. And we also promote a non-financial incentive for community health workers and volunteers to maintain their best practices and saving life of vulnerable community members. And we also empower community members, women, men, youth in leading, participating in malaria elimination and control activities, and making the health system accountable. So these are some of the important initiatives which we are implementing in Ethiopia, and hopefully it gives you a highlight how malaria affects us, and the digital platform also is critical to see what we want in the coming years. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, you are most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mesale. So for the questions, we'll have a Q&A session at the near end of this webinar. So we can, okay, Yuda, do you have something to say?
Okay, I hope Dr. Franklin has the other meeting on board and would like to take some fewer questions and would like to respond. Then we proceed to the last speaker, and we have Q&A section at the end of the. But for the meantime, we can take questions from Dr. Franklin. For Dr. Franklin and Dr. Mesele. Then we proceed with the last speaker because they have other commitment to do this time.
Okay, then we can do that. I initially saw Wondwasen and Moses had a question during Dr. Franklin's session, so if they still have questions, they can proceed to ask.
Thank you very much, and we really appreciate the presentation. We just have a good and better understanding through all the presentation what they provided to us, and I really appreciate. Just to On the community empowerment activities, as you know, health is it's a complex system as compared with others. So in order to ensure the community leaders to engage our, you know, uh, malaria prevention and controlled activities, how can we just the best way to engage them in terms of just, you know, just part of the voluntary activity or other means of activities? How can we just, you know, approach and engage them in order to just, you know, make sustainable our initiative? Over to you. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for your question. I mean, it's a very critical thing, right? There's something we call the top bottom approach and the bottom top approach. The bottom top has been, you know, proven to be better. There are many interventions that they do carry out in communities, be it campaigns, research, you know, endeavors or whatsoever. When they are starting, when they are about to have a voice, let them even part of the research team. If you train a community head that okay, he will be part of collecting data, maybe for a qualitative data, be a focus group or this thing or whatsoever, it makes him involved. If you tell him that he's going to attend meetings or you know trainings that will be part of this, part of the whole initiative, he's going to be happy and involved. Our issue is that at times some of these initiative in quotes come up with the top bottom approach. People just sit experts write projects for some of these communities. They don't do any consultation. I have seen this in a lot of scenarios. And out of a sudden, they just come to your community and say that we are going to be implementing this, and that. And you were not really part of the process. Over. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Franklin. I debate. You can ask your question.
Anybody, if you're speaking, your mic is muted.
Hello once again.
Yeah, we can get you.
Okay. Actually, myself, I am a student undertaking bachelor degree in pharmaceutical science. So I just wanted to ask. I wanted to hear from both sides, but I saw the first speaker has just left. I don't know if he has any other issues, but I wanted to hear from both sides. So what undertaking maybe bachelor degrees in pharmacy, what role does he or she have in these strategies against combating malaria as a student and later on as a future pharmacist? So I would like to hear the roles as a student and as a pharmacist to be. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Edibet. I mean, this is to answer your question. We can even have a whole session on this, but just to give you highlights because we don't have time. Okay, the first thing as a pharmacy student, do you know that that is a very big, you know, the treatment aspect of malaria is a very big issue. Why? And see, like, how can you educate people to respect their treatment regimen? How can you educate people to tell them that if you are feeling signs of fever, it must not be malaria? Because we are so used to malaria, you think that anything should be malaria. No, you have to go do your test, and it is confirmed in a laboratory that you're sick of malaria before you take your treatment. How do we ensure to tell parents that when your child is having fever or what, don't just go behind your cupboard or something and look for any drug available or whatsoever and you give those kind of things? Okay, so you have a role to play in sensitizing your community. And when I talk about your community, I mean what? Your peers, you know, your family, your immediate community. You don't know that there are lone drift meetings in Cameroon. We call it jangi. People that come together like an association and they, you know, save their money. After a while, this person, you know, has to take the money and then he keeps rotating and things. They call them loan drift meetings. You can be part of those meetings. You go there, you talk about all of this, and you will already be creating impact. You get me? You can also have an association in school where you're working and talking maybe to students who are not well enlightened with this. You're a pharmacy student. Do you think a student doing history understand what when you're talking about artemisinin or whatsoever about malaria. He doesn't know all of those things, but you can have when you have the knowledge, you can use it to do that. And as for the professional level, once you keep doing this, remember I talked about the chronos. You are building to have the stage, and when you are at the stage, you are a master. There's no bad big thing around the bush at that level, because they will test you. You realize that it is that experience that you have had that will enable you to flow at a very easy mode. So I want to encourage you, Ejibert, and tell you that there's a lot more that you can do, but that is just the tip of the iceberg that I've given you. That is very okay. Thank you.
Yes, 48 the user who uses that name. You can ask your question.
Hello.
Yes.
Yes, it is not a question, but I want to add some issues based on the question asked by Edward. It's clear that even myself, I'm working at the children ward, so most of parents that are coming with their child who have been diagnosed with probably malaria or not, but some of them, they're responding that they have seen some of the features at the home when they go to a DLDM, we call it this medics shop, and they buy alu and they start alu for giving their child. And just after coming to the hospital, you see that the test is now not responding because the child has already taken alu at home. So I think
thank you very much.
having the initiatives in the community can be a role of students, because we know that the students, they are very active and they have the school that is so fired until this time because they are in classes, so they can take some of the initiatives to go in the community directly and initiate some of the issues, specifically health educations relating to this, using drugs without any prescription or using drugs without any consultations. I think this one can be much important to the community. And I think this one will be much based on the primary preventions. And you know that our country now is looking on the health coverage based on the primary health investment. So this one will be the direct role for these students to take part of these initiatives. And I think most of the area that we can initiate at the community-based initiations will be like this. So I think this is like things to add, because in children, what they're now getting a lot of complications relating to the initial taking the medications without any consultation. And finally, we come up like empirical management and treatment, even the poor response of the drugs because they have already started some of the medications at home. So I think this is a challenge. Probably we can initiate on these issues. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Innocent, you can ask your question.
Tracy Yoda, I don't know if it's okay now. I know there are any other question, please.
I see Innocent has his hand raised. Innocent,
All right.
maybe.
Thank you, Adrian, for your contribution. Thank you. Innocent, please, can you go ahead?
Oh, he left the meeting.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Franklin.
Yes.
We can move on to the next speaker. The next speaker.
Right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. The next speaker will be handling the topic strengthening political will. As we all know, the African governments, how they move, how they act, and we have also